Hello and welcome to month 4 of our 12-month chess improvement challenge. Last month, my homework for you was to choose 1 or 2 chess masters whose playstyle you would like to emulate. I hope that putting yourself in their shoes has been helping you see the board more like a master. So far this year, we've done what I would consider a lot of cave work, which means we are kind of in the study cave, hoping that what we are working on will translate to our actual games. I will stress that it's important to keep a healthy balance of playing and studying. Even though this month's challenge does lean more toward the studying side of things, please do keep on playing and reviewing your games alongside this challenge work. Going back to month 1, that is truly the best way to continuously improve your chess. So this month, we're going to focus on Endgames. I wanted to put this one fairly early in the year because it covers a lot of concrete knowledge fundamentals that are necessary before we get to the more abstract concepts of chess improvement later on. Plus, a lot of chess schools actually start students off from the beginning with learning how the endgame works. Similar to the month where we studied openings, I'm going to split this video into 4 tiers of what you should be studying based on your level. You should focus on the tier that contains anything that you haven't completely mastered yet. And by mastered, I mean that you should be able to basically pre-move the winning sequence or explain the concept to somebody with complete and total confidence. You can challenge yourself, but just don't skip over anything that you're not 100% sure on. You're only hurting yourself later on if you get one of these positions on the board and you're not prepared. So for the beginner tier, we are going to master all the major piece checkmates. That means that if you have the following pieces on the board, you should be able to checkmate. And I'm going to take the puzzle off the screen for a bit while I give you some positions to play out against the computer until you can basically do this with your eyes closed. Okay, so we have the queen and the queen and rook and rook, just a queen, and just a rook. And I would say that's in order from easiest to hardest. Also make sure you know how to avoid stalemate with all of these. If you don't know what stalemate is, you gotta learn what stalemate is, the difference between stalemate and checkmate. I do have a video from back in the day on how to do all of these checkmates, and I will link that. So that is your homework. If you don't know how to do some or any of these, you should have all of them mastered by the end of the month, because when you're up this much material, you should be able to finish off the game. For the early intermediates, we are looking at basic pawn endgame stuff. So by the end of this month, you should be able to explain the idea of opposition, the rule of the square, and a pawn breakthrough. So I've got more positions that you can use to quiz yourself or practice. So in this position, you should be able to tell me if it is white to move here, is it a win or a draw? And then what is your plan to make progress as white? And then same if we reverse the roles. So here black has the extra pawn, but let's say it's white's turn to move again. And remember that their pawn is coming this way, right? Is it a win or a draw? And how do we attempt to hold this position? Now let's give us the extra pawn again as white. What do we do in this position? And also, what about this one? And how about this one, where our king is much further away? And then finally, what's our best move in this position? I explain all these ideas and more in another old video where I had much longer hair and a much jankier camera, so you can check that one out as well as a place to start. For the upper intermediates, we're going to be looking at more advanced pawn endgames and also adding in rook endgames. For the pawn endgames, that means we're looking at principles like zugzwang, triangulation, and specific positions that involve pawn breakthroughs like this one that I'm putting on the screen. For the rook endgames, you should be able to understand the Philidor defense and the Lucina position from both the defending and the attacking sides. And I can say those vocabulary words and concepts really fast, but it actually is a lot to cover, so I'm going to draw the line there for you for this month. But as a bonus kind of intermediary stage, if you're feeling pretty good about all these concepts, you can also add in knight endgames if you'd like. Not the knight weird checkmate thing, but learning the ideas behind, you know, if you have a king and a knight versus a king and a pawn, that type of thing. I have to say, I learned a lot about endgames through the late Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, and one of his videos that I watched probably a dozen times or more was the knight and pawn endgame one. It's part of an incredible endgame series that he did that covers a lot of theoretical endgames in detail. Since his passing, I honestly haven't really been able to stomach watching his content anymore, but there truly is a treasure trove of educational videos on his channel. So if you're able, that would be my top recommendation for a starting point. There are also tons of other videos and written resources out there if you just Google the concept that you're trying to learn. I saw recently that Hanging Pawns has a good one on rook endgames, for example, so feel free to find other resources as well. And if you have other favorites, please do leave those in the comments. We love to share information and resources around here, and these kinds of concepts are kind of going beyond what I feel comfortable teaching on my own channel. And that brings us to the advanced players, and I'll bring the main puzzle back on the screen. This month, we are going to focus on practical endgames. One way I'm planning to do this personally is to use the master players that I selected last month and go through their games, see some of their games where they won and it got up to the, 50, 60, 70 move, that type of territory, and then actually see how they were able to convert the endgame. And there are a few ways to do this. One of them is just to play guess the move. So I will click through from the start of the game up until it gets into the endgame territory and then hide the move list or the notation and see if I can guess which move my chosen master picked on every single move. And the idea is to sit with these positions for a while and actually see if you can come up with the long-term plans that your chosen master was probably thinking about when they played the game. Even better is if you can find some curated instructive positions, whether that's from a book or a course or a video, or if your coach can send you any kind of other resources like that. And I will say best is actually going back through your own games, finding games where you actually lost in the end game, going back to the place where you kind of lost the thread and playing those positions out against a computer or against a training partner and really trying to understand where you went wrong. And I'm saying that's the best because, at least for me personally, it really drives home the concepts that I'm trying to learn when I'm motivated by the pain of my own losses. Feels a little more personal, Whatever level you're at, I hope this intense focus on endgames this month will make you feel more comfortable actually trading down into an endgame when you are playing your own games. If you make a special point of studying them, your endgame knowledge will definitely place you a step above your regular opponents, at least in your confidence level. And again, please share your favorite endgame resources down in the comments so we can all learn from each other. If you'd like a small chess community to hold yourself accountable and just chat about all things chess, you can find my Discord link in the description. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the monthly challenges and more. I'll see you soon.